mainframe isn't a sexy topic for most. Like, how do you position such a legacy solution valuable and innovative in 2025?
The mainframe is perhaps the cheapest platform to execute per transaction than any other platform. And they execute millions and millions of transactions constantly, these mainframes, right? So, and there is no other platform that is just as secure and reliable
Yes.
than the mainframe. Our sales cycle tend to be longer. 2-3 years is not uncommon because of shifting priorities due to business changes.
Okay, got it. It's more than a year for sure, right? So hey everyone, welcome back to the another episode of the Client Engine. So today I'm joined by Peter Bom, the Group CEO of SMT Data, a Danish tech company that helps large enterprises like banks, insurance providers, and telco optimize their mainframe costs through a SaaS plus consulting hybrid model. Peter's leadership journey spans over 2 decades across some of the world's most respected tech and consulting giants like ENY, Wipro, Cognizant, IBM, Deutsche Telekom, and more. So he has led global teams of 200 to 3000 plus people, managed PNL as an equity partner, and now he's taken on the challenge of transforming SMT Data from a 35-year-old legacy firm into a modern fast scaling international growth company. So, in this episode, we'll dig into the unique challenges of scaling a legacy tech business like a startup, how to market and sell in a niche like mainframe optimization, the difference between leading at scale and building from scratch, and why Peter believes predictable growth requires more than just product innovation. It demands operational reinvention. So whether you are running a SaaS company, building an IT consulting firm, or leading a small team into big markets, Peter's insight will give you a lot to think about. So let's dive in. Peter, welcome to the Client Engine. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, thank you, Hanish, for having me. I'm super excited.
Okay, thank you. And when you became the CEO of this 35-year-old company, what was the first thing you did to help it grow?
So I've been in the role for just less than 6 months, right? So it's still very much in the startup mindset. But definitely, the first thing I did was to define and implement the new strategy, which is growing beyond borders. So very much about no longer being just Nordic or European focused, but being global focused. And in doing that, dramatically enhanced our prospect list, have identified the partners that we need to work with, strategic partners to really get the growth going. And then, of course, it's also about making more about our product awareness, which is going to be differently when you are going global than just being local.
So how do you balance with like legacy infrastructure and mindset? Like you mentioned, treating SMT like a startup now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a startup. It has a legacy of how to do things, and this is truly what you would call the innovator's dilemma, right? How do you really get them to do it? And for me, it's been about the culture thing. It's about going from stable, reliable, and then moving into an agile, experimental mindset. It's about coming from, as I'd say, farming and going into a hunting mindset where you are in a place where you have been nurturing and having strong relationships. Now you have to be more aggressive, building new relationships, and maybe even a bit of extrovertism, which people are maybe a bit scared about to touch and out of their comfort zone. And then to create a curious and let's say, a exploratory mindset that it's okay to challenge the status quo.
So have you started implementing like more on the R&D front as well, or uh, I think by with the new AI and new potentials of like how we can now change the processes. So you're trying to do more R&D in those areas.
So, in particular, because we are working with mainframes and within banks, that is like the heart. So many of our customers are yet skeptical to allow AI to be used directly into the mainframe as of now. And so there is, I wouldn't say a resistance to it, but we see in contracts that we cannot just do it. So we do use AI as part of our internal deliverables, but AI being used towards the customers, that is still something that area has to mature. But with that said, we have already ideas what we want to do. For instance, we have a lot of reports that people use to collect the information, and this is our brain to tech, right? So this is really people with 40 years experience in mainframe that have put all those into the reports. But we want instead maybe to be interactive, so you can ask the question and say, "Why did I have an outage, or why did I have a spike in my consumption this and this time?" And it will tell you what to do and why you had it. And that we're looking to do with AI and analytics over the coming years for sure.
So you're using AI to optimize your internal processes, but with the customer's data, it's still like a little bit of resistance there because of the contracts right in place.
Yeah. So as soon as that market it becomes adapted there, then we will be pushing a bit much harder. So we have the ideas, we have this, let's say, the pilots done. We are ready to go. We just need the market to accept it.
And you have held like leadership roles in giants like ENY, Deutsche Telekom, Wipro, and Cognizant. So what mindset shift was required to lead a 25% company now like SMT Data?
It's a big, but it summarizes it one word: intimacy. When you have these large teams, you don't really know everybody. But now I'm able to really get to know everybody, not just from a work perspective, but from a personal life perspective. I'm actually able to see what people are really good at and where they have challenges, and also what they like to do. And I then have the ability to completely shape the company to have the best and strongest team with the resources I have, which is a big plus for us. Delegation of workloads is of course more challenging. Where before I had 10 people who could do the job, now I have one. So you can't burden that person with multiple tasks, and hence you need to start to prioritize more accurately. You don't have time to necessarily to experiment when you get things done, and things maybe don't move as fast because you have to put them in a pipeline for things to be executed. So it's finding that balance, and at the end of the day, I start to prioritize what's most important.
Great. And mainframe isn't a sexy topic for most. Like, how do you put? Like, how do you position such a legacy solution valuable and innovative in 2025? Because it's there for ages. Like, so that's why. For some with Gen Zs or with the new generation, they're more into everything done through cursor or through few AI apps, and the code is written. But how do you like position such a legacy solution as valuable and innovative in 2025?
Yeah. That is a good question, Hanish, right? And then the honest word is that people have been saying that mainframe every year they're saying it's dying, right? And it's to some extent it's true that of course the number of customers using mainframes have decreased over the years, but now we're actually seeing a shift in the market that people are now announcing that mainframe is strategic for them.
Okay.
We're seeing, like IBM also investing very differently now, and how they're using the IBM mainframe very much differently than before. So it's now becoming a strategic platform to do it. Now, with everything happening, we can really make that mainframe visible and transparent, what they're using it for. And then it brings value because as a platform, the mainframe is perhaps the cheapest platform to execute per transaction than any other platform.
It's still the cheapest according to you. Okay, great.
Per transaction.
Per transaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And they execute millions and millions of transactions constantly, these mainframes, right? So, and there is no other platform that is just as secure and reliable
Yes.
than in the mainframe. So,
Definitely, security is like the best. Can't beat any other mainframes with any other platform. Yeah, There's no comparison.
If you can't access your bank for whatever reason, it's not the mainframe that's down. It's the the Gen Z stuff they created that's unavailable, right? It's not the mainframe that is still running.
Definitely, yeah. The front end must be down, but not the back end, the mainframes.
Exactly.
And what trends do you see in enterprise IT buying behavior, especially among banks, insurance, and telcos? Has the sales cycle changed over the years?
So the sales cycles, I would say, have always been somewhat long when it comes to mainframe because it is the heart, right? So it does take over the years. Most of these enterprise organizations have developed mature procurement organizations where you can no longer sell to a friend, right? Now it has to go through all the painful processes to get there. So that has changed, but the dynamics of the world has changed. So with that, I mean is so many things are impacting a bank today. Regulation, stock market, things being said somewhere in the world that affects, there's a ripple effect. And therefore, the business changes are constant. And therefore, the tech leaders must be able to support the constant change of in the business. And hence, things like what we're doing does not necessarily become a priority. And so we see that our sales cycle tend to be longer. 2, 3 years is not uncommon because of shifting priorities due to business changes.
Okay, got it. It's more than a year for sure, right? And goes up to 2 to 3 years.
2, 3 years sometimes.
Okay.
Try to get a bank to open for their mainframe to go to, let's say, the cloud, right? That is not something you do overnight. That can take 6 months to a year before any internal approval has been given for that. And if you're a big bank that have multiple data centers globally, you're talking 12 to 18 months, right?
But once anyone becomes the client, they'll stay with you for forever, right?
That is true, and that is, why we're still around after 35 years with a relatively small customer base, compared to others. But we tend to lose customers if they decide to migrate off the mainframe or if there is a merger and acquisition, and those would be predominantly the reasons why we lose customers.
And how do you educate clients about value when your pricing model is based on the cost savings sharing, right? And rather than a flat SaaS license, like.
Again, a very, very good question. So we have developed. Currently, we're in the process of implementing 6 new commercial models to accommodate the risk appetite for various tech leaders and businesses. Some they want to say, okay, I want to know exactly what I'm paying for, and hence, then you pay the traditional license model. Others are saying, I don't want to spend a dime, but I'm happy to do some, no cure, no pay models. And then we have the whole spectrum in between, so we can accommodate any business needs.
There must be like a lot of meetings happening to educate them on how it is gonna save the cost, right? So I think it's a series of conversations that goes by
Yeah,
showing them the ROI, right?
we do. So our ROI is typically anywhere between 4 to 8 months.
Okay.
So it's very quick turnaround. And the beauty about what we do is not one-offs, right? So the mainframe is a living thing, so it changes. So things that we start to do now when we assess and optimize, tomorrow it's different. Maybe you did a new application update or something else is happening in the world that affects the consumption and the usage of the mainframe, whatever. So it's constantly living and has to be evaluated. And now we are offering, down to near real time uh, performance and capacity check with 5 minutes intervals, which is pretty fast for on a mainframe.
And what's your playbook for taking a niche tech product from Denmark to international markets like US and the ACH region?
Yeah, clearly it's a partnership. Right. So we don't have a big sales force, right, or marketing department. It's relatively small. So it'll be organic growth. It will not be via acquisitions. So it'll direct hunting to those, very, very attractive logos that you want, and then partners.
And you have had experience with both consulting heavy models and SaaS solution. What's the hardest part of building scalable sales for hybrid service product companies like?
So the hardest part is of course the knowing the local culture and languages. So in Europe, you can get away in most countries speaking English, right? Spain, Italy, France can sometimes be a challenge. They want to speak local language. But if you think that you're able to go to, let's say, Brazil or Japan and do it in English from Denmark, no, that's not going to work. So you need either to have boots on the ground or you need to have partners that can speak the local language. And when you're building, let's say, consultancy advice around it, you need to understand local legislations, local regulations, and the maturity of the different regions. So, for instance, Europe is very, very advanced in technology adaptation, where the US is behind. So, the solutions that we think are okay in Europe and less risky can seem very innovative in the US, for instance. So you need to know the market, the language, the culture is definitely things to take into account.
And you mentioned like during a initial conversation that hiring a product marketing lead. So what would success look like for that role in the first 6 months?
So the thing is, we implemented a leadership style called the Dreams and Details back in 2018. And basically what we do is we do not operate with KPIs. Now, this may sound kind of questionable, but the only KPIs we have are for salespeople to be able to calculate, commissions. But what we look at is what we want to get out of it, and that is how we are sort of evaluating. You could say that is a KPI, but it's not carved in stone. So what I do expect is that we get a lot more media attention because we're going to create point of views in a lot faster way than we have done today. Definitely want to see more of our customers and clients' wishes, requirements into our product. I want to see that increase over the period. And then, of course, it's the whole go to market about our brand awareness, which is very weak today. This has to be more visible.
And with limited sales and content resources, like how do you prioritize outbound efforts and make marketing work without burning your team, like with a small team, especially?
So for me, my history, as you can see, except for maybe EY, then many of the customers, the companies I worked for the last 15 years, have been unknown at that time. So the investments they made into inbound channels were very limited, and thus the success of that was again limited. Customers didn't come to us. You have to go out with aggressive hunting, and that's what I love to do. And so hence we are able to be successful in understanding your customer, the target you're looking for, what is it there, what is the pain, and then create a strong proposition to them directly has been the root of success for me.
Yeah. So rather than waiting for customers to come to you, you build a strategy to identify them where they are, identifying their need, pain point, problems, and then trying to initiate that first conversations right with them.
I tell you what, if I had a conversation with a CIO when I was a junior sales guy, right? I called him at about 11 o'clock in the morning or noon, call it what you want. And he was just humoring me and he was just saying, yeah, what do you want? And I was really in it, pitching it, wanting the meeting. And he's like, yeah, you know what? You are already, supplier number 20 calling me today. So no, we're not going to meet because I didn't have anything to differentiate, right? And it got hitting me and I'm saying, yeah, if all these CIOs and so on are being hammered by the likes of me, how do I stand out? So they remember me. And therefore, it is much about customization. I don't do generic pitching. I don't do generic sales stuff. It is customized to them. So when they read an email, they will see it's their numbers, it's their names, it's customized for them. And they award me a meeting because of the effort I put into it.
The more personalized you are with the initial contact, right, it shows them that okay, you have done your homework and then reached out to them. Yeah.
Exactly, and do an outside-in analysis on them and show the result. Maybe your findings are wrong, but at least you got to thinking, and they will meet you. And then once I get the meeting, and magic happens.
Right. Definitely. And what lessons like from running large sales organization, hundreds of people, do not apply in the small teams, and vice versa, like what you are doing in the small teams don't apply with big sales team.
Yeah. So again, I think we have to be more flexible and more not so sensitive to who's calling to which customer. So we'd have to work in a truly collaborative mode. And so we break down the silos. There is none. Um, and uh, and based on that, I created a book of business for each salesperson, saying this is how you'll get measured financially. This is what you should be focusing on. This is that. If a sales guy says, "Look, I would like to do a campaign against this," do it. If I want to go and I think I should reach out to these customers, they're not there. Do it, but don't spread yourself too much because focusing on, let's say, 10, 12, 15 customers to really understand is time consuming. So you can't do it with 20, 30 to that level of details because we don't just target tech. We target people with compliancy, right? IT risks. That is something we target. The IT finance person definitely is interested in what we have to say. Legal is interested in what we have to say. Procurement. So we're attacking multiple levels of any business that we are addressing.
And you have been like part of large outsourcing deals and digital transformations. What's the client acquisition story that taught you something unexpected, like from the past journey?
Yeah. So for me, acquiring done multiple of those. Some of the you find out it looks good on paper to begin with, but then you're trying to see the long term. And there's not that value is not there, right? But once you sort of make that case and saying, okay, there is long term value, what do you then do? And here, for me, to be honest, is make a decision what you want to do with it to begin with. Do you want to integrate it or still keep it as a separate entity? And if you want to integrate it, you do it now. You don't do it over 12, 24 months because it will be very hard to be successful. And I think when you look at where companies have failed is when the integration is taking too long. And if there's nothing wrong with the company, but you just want the revenue or that product, just keep it as it is. Why mess with it? And then eventually over time, you can look at optimizing some Salesforce and other resources, but don't mess, don't, nothing wrong, don't fix it.
And for a founder, like any new founder building a consulting or SaaS business in a complex tech niche, where should they focus on in their first 12 months?
Oh, again, it's about getting that revenue up and going, getting it out there. That is number one. But you also have to de-risk the profit loss. So you can't just go out and acquire revenue. You have to go out and acquire profitable revenue, right? And that is a tricky balance to do for sure. But don't get caught up in, oh, let's acquire something for getting the quick revenue. No, do it organically. But many customers, so many startups, they tend maybe to focus on, let's get the product right, let's get the messaging right, and you're just burning capital.
Right.
Go out, get the conversations going, and then with the customers, develop your product. So our product, we've had the luxury of developing it over 35 years, and it's constant developing. But the new things we're doing, moving into more managed services, consulting services, those we haven't yet built or defined, but we'll do that jointly with customers. So we're showing a catalog of things that we would like to do, can't do yet. And then when we get the first customers, then we develop it with them, get that revenue as quick as possible.
Rather than going after perfection, first focus on progress and trying to acquire some better customers, right? And then make the optimize the product with time with customers, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And what personal principles guide your leadership style today? Like how have they evolved since your first VP role to now?
I'm still very hands-on. So I love being very, very hands-on. And today I'm still very active as a sales person. So I'm still spending 50, 60% of my time in related to sales. But this is this startup mode. In the future, I don't expect to be more than 30, 40%, but I'll never let sales go. That is my style. Empowerment, really. the best way is to just let people, trust that they know what they're doing. They are the experts. So one of the things that I've implemented is, fix your problems yourself mentality. So if you have a problem, don't go and expect somebody else going to fix it. Why should I be able to fix a problem that our CFO can't address? How? Why? Not possible, right? She's the expert. But come to me with solutions, and then we can have a sparring session on what is the right approach. But you're the expert, so fix the problem, but use sparring instead of problem fixing.
Empowering others more with all the resources, right, and then giving them the letting them come up with the solutions on their own, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then use that as sparring
Uh,
and guidance instead of me having to try and fix the problems from scratch. And it gets them thinking that okay, maybe it's not a problem, and what should be done. So I think those things are clear to me.
And finally, if you were advising your younger self starting a B2B tech business today, what's one thing you would say? Skip this, focus on that instead. Like, don't want to focus on this first. Let's focus on these two, three things and start building.
You said it before, perfection. Don't focus on that.
Okay.
If you focus too much and try to get everything right from the start, you're going to fail. Be very cautious about how you're going to go selling, who you address. Don't waste your time because you see there's a sexy logo and you want it. But if it's too much uphill, that sexy logo will come when they see that everybody else is coming to you, right? So pick those customers where you will have the highest chance of success, and then position it so clearly what their needs are. Is the messaging that you have is a must.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Client Engine. I hope you found this conversation with Peter Bom as insightful as I did. From leading global enterprise teams to building client engines in niche markets like mainframe optimization, Peter's journey is a powerful reminder that scaling isn't about having the biggest team or the flashiest tech. It's about clarity, consistency, and the willingness to reinvent systems that no longer serve your growth. And speaking of systems, if you are a B2B founder, tech consultant, or SaaS leader, and you are still figuring out how to generate leads consistently and you are stuck relying on referrals and random spikes in activity, my team at Exoto and I would love to help. We are offering a free one-to-one strategy session where we'll take a look to your current client acquisition setup, identifying what's working, what's broken, and give you the personalized feedback on what you need to build your own client engine, one that runs predictably, sustainably, and scales with you. So you can grab a time with from the link in the description maybe. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the client engine, leave us a quick review, and share it with someone who's building something great. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much, Peter. Thanks so much for this like insightful discussion and sharing your insights with our viewers. Thank you.
No, thank you, Hanish, for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.